Hi, guys. I'm Nina.
I'm Jamie.
Ethan is sadly not with us tonight, but he should be back with us next week. He had to spend some time with family this week. But we are Bloody Essentials, and we just want to thank all of our listeners for supporting the show. Please continue to do so. Feel free to follow us if you like what we're doing. Leave a review, even. That really helps spread the word a lot. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Recommend a movie. Let us know what you thought of our episodes. Let us know what you think we should cover.
Yes, please. Also, shout out to our Patreon members, Rick Paulton and Swift. Guys, thank you so much for supporting our show. It really means a lot to us. And, supporting the show is great, but having you guys as friends is much more important. So thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Also, if you want to hear your name in our episodes and receive fun little goodies from the entire Bloody Essentials team, you can join our Patreon. It's no commitment. You can donate as little or as much as you like, and you receive awesome perks from all of us here at Bloody Essentials. You'll get fun little horror goodies, merch from Bloody Essentials, and access to unedited episodes weeks before they air. So that's always fun.
You do not want to miss those.
Yeah.
There's some pretty awesome moments in there.
Definitely. And monthly movie parties are starting up next week, so we're very excited. Yes. And we have some upcoming appearances as well. We will be at Milwaukee Horror Con March 14th through the 16th. That's a brand new horror con. You're not going to want to miss out. And we're actually going to talk more about that here in a little bit. So definitely support them. They are amazing, and we can't wait to be a part of their very first year.
Yeah.
And also, we'll be at Chicago Horror Film Festival May 15th through the 18th. And that's going to be a great time. It's 4 days of, horror indie makers from all over. And, it's going to be a great time. So
awesome.
Yeah. And that brings us to tonight's guest, which is Ashland Thomas, the director, I guess you'd say, of the Milwaukee Horror Con. Hi.
Hey.
That's me. Hello.
Hi, Ash. Good. How are you?
Good.
I wasn't sure what your official title is now. There's so many moving parts. So I'm just like director, owner.
Yeah, not owner, but I am the convention director or the festival director of Milwaukee Horror Convention, Milwaukee Horror Film Festival, and then I am the co-director or assistant director. This has all been really quick, so we're ironing everything out of Chicago Horror Film Festival, at least for this upcoming cycle in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
It is. It's actually these are things that I've been wanting to do that have just really been of interest to me. And when it first came up, I've been involved with both for a little while, but not very long.
Sure.
And just kind of in the planning phases, and then with some events that have come up recently and some changes, I'm taking on a little more responsibility, and I just want to have fun. I just really want to have a good event.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're excited because, Ash, you and I have been friends for quite some time now, and we've been going to all these events together and everything, hanging out. So I'm excited to see what you bring when it's your own event and everything. So,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Chaos, insanity, nudity. I'm not, who knows?
Oh, my.
and that's just a celebrity guest.
Sounds like quite the spicy weekend.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It is very family friendly.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I know we'll get more into it, but
Yeah.
since we brought up kids 12 and under do get in free with, paid admission to Milwaukee Horror Con.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Ash, tell our listeners a little bit more about you, how you got into horror, and a little bit about your horror journey.
My mother is insane. And that is
Same.
it really is my mom's fault. But obviously, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't still be attached to horror. So, growing up, my mother is an actress, and she was very involved with this group. And they created an event. We're going back to, I'm 3-4 when this is starting, which is also when I started acting. But she created a group, and they created the Ghost Train. And in Virginia, which is where I'm from, we have this big park called Northwest River. Now I can't remember if it's national park or state. I think it must be state park, Northwest River Park, and a lot of land right on this big river, really pretty. And so it was basically like a haunted hay ride. So the tractor pulled. There was no hay involved, but the tractor pulled these big, old style farm wagons, with the benches all the way around.
Sure.
But it was really different because they would actually do like scenes and vignettes. So everybody was putting on.
Wow.
So I remember when you would go down, and the premise was when you were going down, you were like meeting all of these things or getting these little ghost stories, and it was all like, oh, everyone's friendly, hi. And then at the end, when you get to the because the road ends at the river and then it turns around and you can come back. So when you get to the end, things would just turn and go very dark. And everybody you just passed, it's now like their summoning hour. And so as you go back, it's like everything's wild and crazy. And of course, they had a plan on the train and they would pull the guy off the train. Now that kind of stuff's like expected, but back then it was kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I used to sit with her at the front of the train because she would do the tours. And that's how it all started. She wasn't afraid to show me horror movies. So I definitely remember, my originals are my boys, Jason and Freddy.
Yeah.
I do remember I would watch them. Okay, so back in the day, the networks would, like on Friday the 13th and at Halloween, they would air, horror movies late at night and over the weekends and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I do remember the original Jason. I was watching in their room. I was watching it alone, but one of my sisters was coming in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that she was there. But so I do remember I was doing a lot of this because, I was like 4 or 5. So I remember doing this, but I was still really into it. And so I remember doing it specifically in the opening scene of Friday the 13th because I remember, the 2 counselors in the attic.
Yeah.
And after meeting her a couple of years ago, I was like, this is so cool. Deborah Hayes. So I do remember watching that scene like this. And as time went on, though, even though I love all the horror movies, Jason and Freddy are just my favorites. I think Wes Craven is a genius. I think Tom Savini was a genius.
Oh,
Yeah.
When I was 8 and 9, I had all of Tom Savini, the ones that were out at that time. I had all of his books.
Yeah.
I was really taking a deep dive in the first Friday the 13th and how he did all of his effects because one of his books focused on that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go around and charge my friends to like bloody them up and stick arrows in their eyes. And instead of a lemonade stand, I had a bruise stand so they could come by and I would do like a bruise or a cut on them.
That's so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. And then, the late 90s, early 2000s became really pivotal because I was forming, my own identity. And
Sure.
But the first Jason movie I saw in the theaters was Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But, as like a whatever age I was, 12, 13, 14, I don't know. I don't want to do math. It was amazing. It was probably the first. I mean, I had watched R-rated stuff at home, but it's probably like the first R-rated thing. My mom took me and my best friend at the time, Matt, and it was just awesome. It was just, and I was obsessed over it forever because it was the first one where as soon as it came out, I knew what it was. I had my own VHS copy.
Aww.
The first one I recorded off of television, was part 6 because part 6 is my favorite.
Yeah. It's really good.
Aside from the original.
Sure.
So and I loved Jaws.
Oh, so good.
So good. Yeah. That's like a perfect film for me.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And I love all of them. I mean, even 3 and 4, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, number 1 1 and 2 are fun. 1, of course, is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Yeah. The others they're fun just to see what they did with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy the revenge. I don't care.
I love it.
I do too.
And when it came out, they, how HBO, I guess they still do it. I don't know. But, HBO would have those spotlights on movies that were being made or about to come out or whatever. I forget what they call it. And they did one on the opening scene of Jaws: The Revenge. And it was, the guy that played the grandson or the youngest son that got his arm off in the beginning.
Such a good moment.
And
so
I was
good.
like, that's so cool. And then that boat was at Universal Studios where I used to work. So
Wow.
Wow.
So
Ah.
cool.
Wow. So you said you got started with acting at like age 3. Like, tell us a little bit more about your acting journey. You also write, direct, kind of like tell us where you went from 3 to now.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Well, funny enough, when I was like 3 and 4 is when I was starting my acting, and back then it was all stage acting.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, one of the first things I did was The Princess and the Frog, and I was the frog.
Oh.
And I remember parts of that. I remember like some of the scenery, and I remember a discussion with the director about the costume, which I think is really wild. Um, and then shortly after that, like the first musical I ever did was Oliver.
Oh.
And there's 2 things I remember about doing that show, and that's like it. One was were the rehearsals where we would do like some improv, and we would do like the mirror work, when that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing I remember is getting dirty every night as an orphan,
Yes.
and
Fun.
they would line us up, and they actually came through with burnt corks,
Mhm.
and they would take the burnt corks and rub them all over your skin.
Oh.
Yep. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, and so I still do stage acting, but kept doing stage acting. Every now and then I would get a little film, TV, or local commercial thing. Nothing major, but I was always getting stuff. And went on and worked for both Disney and Universal as an entertainer at the theme parks,
Oh.
and did a bunch of interesting things there. Did much more at Universal than I did with Disney.
Sure.
And then I started to get more into film work. There's a couple of good film schools in Florida, and I started to get a little more film work there, and then book other things, and
Mhm.
got into a good crowd of people that were doing a lot of productions on stage and on film, and would get calls every now and then. But the last couple of years here in Chicago, since I moved here, because I've lived in New York, Atlanta, and I'm in Chicago, and I was on a show for a few years, and really got to meet a lot of cool people and network. And in that few years, I was able to pop up on quite a few of the shows that are taping here, and now I'm doing more film work. I got a film that's premiering like in right after Milwaukee Con, so 2 or 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks.
Oh.
That's
One we
awesome.
shot last year, so I'm excited about that. And I've always done writing and producing and directing more in theater than any theater and events.
Sure.
And I've really been wanting to do more film, and so last year I said, screw it. I said I'm so tired of people not coming through with their promises and waiting for people. And I got a hold of 2 shorts from this writer I met at a film meetup, and I just liked them both. And it just kind of went into like, hey, is anybody producing them? Yeah, because at first it came about as me being one of the characters in one of them, which I was, but that's how our journey started.
Okay.
And I really, I wanted to make some little tweaks, but I really liked these 2 scripts. I liked their stories. They're dramas. They're not horror related. But I went ahead and produced them, and it's the first time I've done it on my own like that.
Yeah.
So there's, I'm still experiencing challenges. Post production
Sure.
is,
Yes.
oh man, it's a beast. But
Yeah.
the finished product, I'm gonna be really proud. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah, and I just picked my next, probably my next production, which is a short film called Sin, Syn.
Ooh.
And the story is an idea from Gabriela Morbek, who's an aspiring filmmaker based in Milwaukee.
Nice.
And again, I'm going to put my little stamp on the script. That's just kind of my thing, especially when it
Sure.
comes to dialogue. But the story's great. I love what she's written. I just want to adjust a few things, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this year we'll be looking for a little bit of money and make a film.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it'll be about 10 minutes, which I think is perfect.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely.
So we'll see. But
That's
that's kind of
exciting.
that's the short version of how I got here.
Yeah.
Ah.
Although it's
What's
long.
no. What do you think stands out in terms of like selecting a project? Like, what do you look for when you're trying to find something to do next? Whether it's acting, directing, producing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. with acting, I have a little less. I mean, I have to feel something with the character, but sometimes you just want a job or need a job because
Yeah.
it's not for everyone out there that thinks that all actors make a lot of money. You're very confused. So it's, there are, I try to tell people there's people that can literally work every day, all day of their lives in roles. I mean, actual principal roles, but it doesn't mean they're banking any money.
No.
You've got to be
No.
a certain tier and a certain everything to be locked into that. But
Yeah.
so with acting, it's a little more about, do I really think I want to do this?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even fight for a role because it's like, oh, that's just a role I want to do. It really has nothing to do with the glamour of it or money or
Sure.
but sometimes, like the one that's coming out in a couple of weeks. At first, I was drawn to it because there was a villain opportunity that piqued my interest.
Ooh.
But then once I read the script, I was like, I don't think this would be the way for me to be playing a villain. I don't think it's gonna work. But I also don't want to ever make up anybody else's mind, right?
Sure.
But my instinct was the other character was something that I haven't really played, but I felt like I could really understand him.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting.
So neither one of them are necessarily the hero of a story. I don't want to give too much away, but
So cryptic.
No.
Because we're just gonna have to show up,
No.
wait,
find out.
I don't know. I don't even know what these are. What's this one? What was it?
There was somebody screaming.
It was like
they
a
just had-
scream.
yeah.
For the audience out there, I have a little board, but I don't know what they all do because I can't hear them.
Oh, that's fun. And this is a fun game for us. Yes.
This is fun.
It says slash on here, so I don't know.
Okay,
sounds
that's
like-
appropriate. Yeah.
Like a
yeah.
slasher scream?
Definitely.
That
It sounded like
tracks.
they got their hand chopped off or something. Yeah.
All right. There you go. I won't do too much of that, I promise.
Oh, that's
That was a
awesome.
laugh track for sure. Okay.
So,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, so how long have you been going to conventions, and what are some of your
Ooh.
what do you love about conventions? Because we love running into you there and hanging out with you, Adam.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's a big part of it, right? So when I first went, it was I believe 95. It could have been 96, but I'm pretty sure it was 95. Fangoria Weekend of Horrors, New York City.
Mm.
Wow.
This was my mom and my very new stepfather dropped me off at the hotel. I was like 14, 15, and they were like, bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
And I just remembered, I mean, I was so, and that's when I fell in love with panels. I mean, when it comes to movies, a lot of the reasons I have such a huge physical media collection is because I love watching all the commentaries, all the documentaries, all the
Sure.
making of. Like, sometimes to my own detriment, I get sucked up in these, but it's really what I love. I mean, because I love filmmaking.
Yeah.
And so I love listening to everyone's thoughts and their theories and how they crafted moments and what was happening in that scene, even when it's, levity and it's just fun and stupid. It's really just knowing kind of what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
So I remember sitting there, and one of the panels was Clive Barker and Peter Atkins, who's the writer from Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
gosh.
screenplay, and then one was Ken Foray.
Love Ken.
Then
Yeah.
and then it was Wes Craven and Nancy Langenkamp, which of course, I was just,
Yeah.
I mean, they were my heroes,
Of
Yeah.
course.
and I was like, that's what,
I know. Oh my god.
and met a lot of really cool people. I really feel like Robert Rodriguez was there, and
Wow.
I someone was there related to the prophecy, the first prophecy movie with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And so I have somewhere, unfortunately, because my stuff's everywhere, I do have an original prophecy poster signed by that person. And I just, at this moment, I wish I could remember who it was, but
When you uncover it again, please send me a picture because
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the prophecy. I
Are
love
you?
the prophecy. Yes.
So
The
it was
first
really
three.
cool.
The first 3. I have not
Yeah.
seen after
Yeah,
that.
I have the, there was a new, I think it was last year. There's a new collection that came out, from Arrow or Vincent or somebody that was the
Yeah.
first 3, and I've got that.
Nice.
nice.
Yeah, but that, and back then you didn't pay to get autographs or take pictures with people.
No.
So I remember going down. It was a very relatively confined area. It's a city hotel.
Sure.
But that's where I met Angus
Yeah.
Grimm,
Oh,
which at the time I didn't know Phantasm, but he just was so cool to me that I didn't even care.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I was looking, and he reminded me a lot of someone I worked with called Byron Whiting, and he had
What
done
a cool name.
I know. I was
Yeah.
going to say, ooh.
an old school vaudeville character actor that I kind of grew up around, and he did some work with my mom, and
Wow.
they did a horror movie together, and he just reminded me a lot of him because
Yeah.
Byron is very tall, very lanky, deep voice.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god, this is Byron. Of course I knew it wasn't, but
Sure. Yeah.
then,
That's
but
so
just
cool.
talking to Heather Langenkamp especially as a kid,
Yeah.
and Jess, and I got some really cool stuff signed by all of them, and Clive Barker declined to do his commitment to sign stuff, so he disappeared after his panel. But I met him last year, so I'm good.
Remedied that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. And that was just such a cool moment. And then I went and worked the room as if I was some freaking producer. like
Love
literally,
it.
I'm in there and I was collecting headshots and resumes, and they had
Wow.
one thing that was really great about then was they had a whole room that was nothing but independent filmmakers.
Yeah.
I love
so,
that.
Troma was there, of course, but
Oh.
like the what is it, Peter Falcone, who did like the Psycho Sisters.
Yeah.
I might have the name wrong, so forgive me. So that was how I first got introduced to Psycho Sisters, and the 3 women were there, and it was just cool. And I was all like, what's your day rate? And I'm like 14 years old. Now, to be fair,
I love that.
everyone always thought I was 20 when I was 14, because I was like, but by the time I was 12, I was almost 6 foot. So
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
and I just always came across as, I don't know, mature, whatever. So I didn't think I was a kid, but
Sure. That's awesome.
yeah. But so it really has been a while. And a couple of years ago, I finally heard about Days of the Dead, and I said, well, I've got to go to this. I bought a weekend pass, and that's where I met a lot of people, including Nina,
Yep.
Yeah.
and really made a lot of connections and realized, like, man, there's this really cool horror community here, and people that are making movies, and it just felt like that's where I should be.
Yeah.
So I started going to Flashback and Days of the Dead every cycle. If I had more resources, I'd probably go to more across the country, which
Sure.
my goal is to see some of the big ones, but
It adds
Same.
up fast. It's expensive.
Oh, gosh.
yeah. Pardon me. So I'm really hoping to get to Indianapolis this year, or is it June, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's in
think
June.
so. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I also submitted for the first time. I just started submitting a short horror script for another one I wrote. First one I did completed on my own, called Metal Show.
Nice.
Mhm.
So I'm submitting that just as a screenplay. And
Very cool.
so we'll see. I don't know anything about acceptance yet because I just did it all, but we'll see.
That's exciting.
That is
Yeah.
exciting.
And it's cool it's obviously cool to talk to actors about their stories. As I know,
Yeah.
and not to say that sometimes I'm not wowed by someone because of who they are. I think
Sure.
that would be a lie.
We all have those moments.
Oh, yeah,
But,
totally.
there are people who are definitively there to meet a celebrity, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But I really love those moments when something connects and we just start talking shop.
Yes.
And it happens quite often. Maybe, I don't know why. Maybe it's just the way we have conversation, or maybe they know that I really don't want anything. I don't know how it happens, but that's what I love. Talking
Yeah.
shop to these people that have done great things. So
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah.
What do you think sets the horror community apart from other fandoms? Like, I mean, there's so many fandoms out there, but like I've heard time and time again, that the horror community is different? What do you
too.
think
Yeah.
sets it apart?
Acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to sound cheesy, but I really think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
When you look at, and of course, there's a really great documentary series out by Eli Roth, you know, the history of horror,
Mhm.
Love that
Yes.
and they really take some deep dives in things and talk about, you know, how it's such a metaphor for certain alternative lifestyles that some people would, you know, see them as.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and they're some of the first ones to be like, we don't care what race you are, we don't care what, like, they make fun of everyone, they kill everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some comedy tropes about, you know, the poor black guy's going to get it first, you know, when you
Yeah.
when you go back. But you know, when you look at some of them, they're so far advanced as far as welcoming
Yeah.
others in the storylines than maybe some other mainstream media does, you know.
Big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, they don't often have the pressure of an award season, although
Yeah.
that's changing. You know, of
It
course,
is.
the Oscars are on tonight.
Literally
so
right now.
Substance,
I know.
maybe.
Yeah.
Come on, Demi.
Yeah, I know.
I've been manifesting it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and no spoilers, because even though I have bought it, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't had time
Okay,
because
no
I'm moving.
spoilers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no spoilers. I mean, I know the general story, but that's the other thing that happens. You never have time to watch the stuff you want to watch.
I
I
know. There's
know.
too many awesome things to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really think it comes down to that. And also, it's a genre that's not afraid to make fun of itself in all different
yeah.
ways, over and
Yeah.
over and over. Now, it admittedly, that's not even the right word to use right now, but in all fairness, you know, Scream in '96, I mean, opened the floodgates for an entirely new
Yeah.
genre of horror, right?
Yeah.
Some people have continued that tradition well, and some have failed at it. But
Yes.
it just goes to show that, I mean, horror knows what it is. It knows its place.
Yeah.
I love a great dramatic romantic epic. I love a great historical battle. Like, I love every genre of movie,
Yeah.
but there's just something about horror.
Yeah.
Ugh,
I have
it's
chills right now.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, some people are actually kind of shocked at how eclectic my music and movie taste are, but I'm like, it's pretty much whatever I want at that moment. Like,
Yeah.
it's usually do I want to see the movie or not?
Oh yeah. Like
You know?
you've
Totally.
got to grab me. Yeah.
And I've watched some really bad stuff.
Lately, I have
You and us
too.
both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you know, I hate jumping, but I did. You
No,
did
let's
ask what
jump.
right? You asked what draws me to a character from
Please.
or a script
Yes.
Yeah.
from producing, and it just bounced back in my head that you had asked that. For me, and it's what I told this writer who has now sent me other scripts too to read, and I said, well, because he's a little new to the industry, and it's like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I say it's not always that I think you have it just because someone's saying no doesn't mean that they think it's a bad script or it's a bad story. I said,
Yeah.
for me, and I can only speak for me, I have to connect to it somehow. I don't always have the answer as to why that connection is in my brain going,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
there's something when I read the story, and then I start to think about it from a producing standpoint. All right,
Mhm.
what's it going to cost? Like, how many locations do we have? How many actors?
Mhm.
Are there effects? Are there like, there's we have to look at things like what's written in there as far as weather. Can we change
Yeah.
the weather? Will it change the story? You know,
Sure. That's a big
Um,
factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you really start to look at it in terms of, okay, well, how many costumes? How many locations? How many?
Mhm.
So because that's the ticker, that's the accountant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So at this stage, because I'm just trying to make very short, easily crafted movies with a very, very, very small budget,
Sure.
I'm looking for like one location. One room is even better, but one location, a handful of people, all in one day makes it even better because there's probably not going to be costume changes,
Sure.
Yeah.
you know, things like that. But
Yeah.
there's just a something that when I read it, I'm like, my brain starts doing storyboards and previs and starts crafting camera work in my head. And I'm like, if I can see that, that means I want to make it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us about the Milwaukee Horror Con. Tell us kind of what it took
Ooh.
to make this happen. Tell us a little bit about the con.
It's Milwaukee. So I coming into it, I didn't. I was kind of asked to come in after it had been decided it would happen. So I wasn't
Yeah.
on that ground floor of. I kind of knew it was happening. I was
Yeah.
privy to the information. I knew that the person who was doing the legwork went and just talked to the hotel and was going to see what it was going to take and put that into motion. Did the contract and all of that, and then it was kind of like, hey, do you want to come on board and help with this? And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, yeah. I said, but what I want to do, and I'd already mentioned this, but I said, what I really, really want to do, I said, I can do lots of other things, but I really want to do the moderation. I want to do Q&A panels.
Yeah.
Because that's what I jones for. That's what I've really been wanting to do.
Sure.
And, watching the panels at these other conventions, some are good, some are bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. No, we should always do that. You start to be like, you start to feel the audience. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is right up my alley. Why am I not doing this? I don't.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And it's not like you can just go, hey, I'm going to go moderate a panel tomorrow.
Right. Especially if they are already an established convention, they usually have their people. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my thing. I said, we can explore other things, other ways to be involved, but that's really my interest. That would be what I would need out of this. And I was just very upfront about it. You never know what their response is going to be, but
for sure, the worst they can do is be like, no.
Exactly. You got to ask. Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, yeah, okay.
I love that.
And so then it's just kind of talking about the details. And the thing too is this, people have to remember this is the first year, not only, but it's also big. I mean, this is so far the first and only horror convention in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
so cool.
Ever, which is insane.
Which is crazy. Yeah,
we've been talking about that off and on for like the past month and a half. Like,
and
it's insane.
I've been checking out the local scene. There's a great horror scene up there. They have their own horror meetup.
Yep.
So, and there's a lot of filmmakers up there. I've worked with some filmmakers from Milwaukee.
Yep.
And so horror is a thing. And granted, coming down to Rosemont or Chicago isn't a huge deal for people in Milwaukee because it's pretty close, right?
Sure.
Right.
But it's still not in their own state.
It's not ideal.
No. So it was like, let's do something that's a little smaller, a little more, not so much pizzazz, because we're not there yet as far as knowing that we have support or that we're going to sell the tickets. I mean, we are selling tickets, but at the time you're like, are people even going to want to come?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So the response has been great. People are really into it. There's a lot of really cool like horror shops and comic shops all over Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and they're really getting behind it and they're excited. And like I said, the tickets are selling. I think we're at this point, it's got to be somewhere between 700 and 900 tickets sold.
That's amazing for the first year. That's incredible.
Yeah, we've got 70 vendors locked in.
Nice.
We have the celebrity guests. Let's see. I'm losing track of my numbers.
Felissa and Dave.
Yeah, we've got Felissa Rose, Dave Sheridan,
Yes.
Brett Wagner.
Yes.
Alex Vincent, from Child's Play.
So excited. Love Alex.
Russell Hodgkinson.
Yes.
Lenora Scelfo, who, if you don't know, was one of the original Mean Girl cheerleaders from Scream.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe she's a slut, just like our mother. Douglas Tate, who has played both Jason and Michael Myers.
Yes.
And I skipped over. People know Brett, but Brett, has also played Leatherface.
Of course. Yeah.
So we've got some icons in there. Michael Hargrove played, the real life kind of Candyman in the new Candyman remake.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, requel, not a remake.
Yeah.
So I actually worked for, I think it was 3 days on Candyman. Everything I did was cut. It was such a bummer.
I know.
but
last time I met with you at a con, we were talking about this a little bit, and I was just like, oh my God. It would have been a little bit better if I had known somebody in that movie. But now it's like, fuck you guys.
But that's what happens.
I know.
Sure.
A lot of the I'll tell you, it took place in the gallery.
Yeah.
And a lot of this, a lot of what you make or a lot of what you shoot, doesn't make it into the final film.
Yeah.
People would be blown away by
Oh,
the
I'm
amount of stuff
sure.
that doesn't
I'm
make
Yeah.
it.
sure.
Even on TV, man, we would
Yeah.
blow money on these huge sequences on Chicago Med,
Yeah.
and the whole storyline and sequence would never show up.
Wow.
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then last but not least, Sean Roberts, who has done a lot of the like Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, a lot of the
Okay.
Resident Evil movies.
So excited for
Nice.
that.
I think if people don't know his name, they would recognize his face.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely.
And then we have a room that's got some local guests in there, some local actors that will sign things.
Yeah.
They're all of them are doing pro photo ops, and most of them are in costume,
nice.
which is really cool. But we do recommend that you get those photo ops in advance on the Milwaukee HorrorCon website.
Yeah.
And then day of or during the convention, they won't take any cash for the photo ops. So there will be a QR code. If for some reason you're able to get in last minute, you'll be able to get in and pay. But we highly recommend you do it in advance.
Yeah.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then everyone will be doing their own pricing for selfies and autographs. Those prices are on our website right now. So it's MilwaukeeHorrorCon.com.
Yes. Link
If
will
you
be in
wanna-
the description.
Yeah, awesome. But they on the page with the guests, you can see what they're charging. You'll know in advance what to bring money wise.
And that's a big deal because most cons don't do that.
It's helpful.
It's
They
so
don't.
helpful.
And then they walk around going, "Oh, what are you charging?" I'm getting all these tweets about. Well, put it on the website.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Help us out here.
Now,
Yeah.
now, disclaimer: these can change at any time, of course.
Sure,
Absolutely.
That's their pricing.
Yes.
But it's going to be really fun, and I think to be the first year, it's the right amount of people. We have really cool names. You go, you see a lot of these conventions that are trying a one-off or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm not slamming them or shaming them, but you don't necessarily know who the people are. So I think we got really lucky with our guests.
Yeah.
It's a good lineup.
Such a great lineup.
Who wants to take a risk on a brand new convention?
Sure.
So
Wow.
it's tough.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I will say, when I've gone to cons in the past, and I've been going for a while, but when I've gone, usually it's the smaller venues that I end up having the most fun at because
Totally.
the guests are the ones that are sitting out there in the lobby, and
Mhm.
you get to talk to the celebrities, have dinner sometimes with the celebrities if they're out. Like, it just seems more relaxed, and people can have more fun that way.
Yeah.
I hope so. And what's
Connect
really
a little
great,
more.
yeah, what's really great with this one, it's at the 4 Points by Sheridan Milwaukee Airport.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like 10 minutes outside of downtown Milwaukee. It's literally across the street from the
Oh.
airport.
Yeah.
It's across the street from the Amtrak station, which runs between Chicago and Milwaukee all day long.
Yeah.
For
Perfect.
for anyone who wants to come up, it's very convenient, and there's lots of parking.
Yeah.
Unlike in the Chicago area where you have to pay for parking, and
Yeah.
so that's nice. It's a good advantage. But the rooms, I think the lighting to me appears better than some of the ones we deal with.
Sure.
So I'm hoping that it's a little brighter and a little, I don't know. When they're so dark, you can't even see people's faces and can't take pictures, and
No.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
shame, especially at the panels.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, what panels can we expect? Will all the guests have their own panels?
Ooh,
Or
I was going to say, we got to
Yeah.
talk panels.
we have to talk panels.
Let's talk. And I do want to mention too,
Yeah.
it's just I don't want to forget, we offer everything's a single day pass except the VIP ticket, and that's the only all weekend pass, and it comes with a lot of other perks. Well, you definitely get a t-shirt, you get a lanyard. I will give you more information. So the exclusive VIP is, of course, you get early entry.
Yes.
The panels and the film festival are for VIPs first. If there's room after VIPs have come in, they'll let anybody in.
Okay.
It's so the VIPs get first access to all the panels.
Nice.
Dedicated VIP only entrance for fast access. You get a limited edition poster.
Nice.
So there's some nice little perks and benefits for that. And the VIP weekend pass is only $62. We're not talking like $200, $300, $400. We're talking
That's a steal.
$62.
I was going to say, that's a
Yeah.
great price.
Yeah.
I know a
So
lot of people can be deterred by the price point when it comes
yeah,
to VIP because those
Totally.
bigger cons, if they're insane sometimes, and
yeah,
Yeah.
it prevents a lot of people from doing all that they want in a single weekend. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So and one really cool thing is, well, we'll get to it. You have to keep me on track sometimes. Let's
I
not
will
forget
do
to
my
talk about the
best.
film festival.
Yes.
Yes.
But you asked about celebrity panels. So we
Yes.
did just release the schedule, and on Saturday at 3:30 is Russell Hodgkinson from Z Nation, and I mean, lots of
Mhm.
what a great character actor.
Oh,
I think
so
people,
amazing.
yeah. At 4 p.m. we're gonna do Brent Wagner and Douglas Tate together on stage, which
Nice.
means Leatherface Jason and Michael Myers,
Love it.
and just talk about what it means to represent those characters and how cool. I mean, number one, to get to even do one of those icons, I think most of them would say is quite an honor. And then
Yeah.
you've got someone who's done two icons, right?
Yeah.
And he was Jason and Freddy versus Jason, which, I mean, yes, it's easy to knock on it, but I love that
I
movie.
love
I
that
love that movie
movie. I
so
will never knock
much.
that movie.
And when it
Love
came
that
out,
movie.
it was exactly what needed to exist at that point in time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We needed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I still need it. I love that movie.
I
I
love
love
it.
that movie.
Yeah. Obviously it could have been better, but I love it.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean,
I love
everything
it.
could always be better from an artistic standpoint,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
for what it is, it's
Oh,
phenomenal.
it's so fun.
Yeah.
So good.
I really, and people want to overlook it, sometimes, but I'm looking at it from an artistic standpoint, and
Yeah.
I really love how they took the story and really presented their worlds as if we really were in their realms, like their hells,
Yeah.
like their inner. So I thought it was really cool, the whole fire and water thing.
Too.
I loved it so much.
Me too.
Yeah. Then on Sunday, 2 p.m. is Alex Vincent.
Nice.
And 3 p.m. we're calling it Double Trouble. It's Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan together.
Oh,
You could not have picked a better name for that.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had more time, I would love to talk to everybody, but
Sure.
because I would love to talk to but I'll talk to them on my own, but I would love to talk to Michael and Lenora and get some
Of
stories.
course.
Of course.
I have a friend who does a podcast. She does wardrobe and costumes for film and TV, and she and another woman who also used to work on Med with us, they have a podcast called Lasting Looks, and it's all about costumes and wardrobe for film and TV.
You would love it, Jamie. It's
I'm gonna
right
write
up
that.
your alley.
I'm writing that down right now.
Yeah, go look them up. I mean, it's really,
will.
really.
Yeah.
And they've talked to the costume designer of Scream, and so I was
Mhm.
supposed to get to ask a question, and it didn't happen.
Oh.
But I still, I just love hearing. I just love these stories especially for a movie that I revere so much.
Yeah, definitely.
That behind the scenes magic is so fun to get insight into. It's my favorite thing too. I always want to know how they make stuff happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's the
Especially-
pose or the
yeah.
effects, or I just want to know how it happened.
Especially when it's a movie that means so much to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was, and of course, we can go back. Of course, we're talking about, the first Freddy, the first Jason. There's, lots of great documentaries on their effects, and
Yeah.
Scream. It was such a big deal, and they were really, they K&B, the work they did on that, and the body they made for Drew Barrymore, and I mean, it was it's just mind blowing, And I have seen the uncut version of the original.
I have
Scream.
too. Yeah. It's
And
so cool.
it's not a lot, but it is a little more,
Yeah.
And the opening shot is just so cool.
It's so much more impactful for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's a little longer on Tatum. You see a little more of her head, and there's things that are in there, and some more stabbing when they stab each other towards the end. When they're like, a little more of that, but it's There is an uncut release in Germany that I'm trying to get my hands on, and I have a VHS copy of the uncut, like a real legitimate one that was released.
Wow. That's impressive.
But I was really hoping when they did the Steelbooks, a couple years ago for the big 4K transfer that we would get. No.
It exists. I saw it on Laserdisc.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was an experience like none other. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So is Scream, would you say, your favorite scary movie?
I've been asked this a lot recently.
It's hard
I
to
like to
pick.
ask all of
I
our
know.
guests what their favorite scary movie is,
Yeah.
because mine is Scream. So
It's really really hard, but I
yes.
think that it would be difficult for me not to choose Scream. But
Yeah.
there's other such amazing movies that I love so much, and we have talked about some of them already. But
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the original Friday 13th, the original Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yeah.
Psycho,
Yeah.
Jaws, but
Mhm.
Scream is probably my ultimate.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has to be for a lot for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
Such a great movie. Yeah. And what about this film festival you were mentioning for the
Yeah.
con?
Yeah. So at Milwaukee, at Milwaukee Con, we also have MILF, the Milwaukee Horror Film Festival.
Who doesn't like a MILF?
Right? We're running MILFs for all 3 days. But so we do have a film festival, and now all the films, as you would expect, are based in horror.
Yes.
Just like all the vendors have to be horror, not like you know, hey, we're not knocking anybody else's what they do, but it was very very important to us that it was horror and not some like, whoa, I have watched a horror movie, but I sell cute stuff. I mean, no, we were really, it needed to be horror, and we really wanted people with personality who like doing this. You know, when you go to cons and you start checking people out or little events, and you're like checking out vendors, and they're sitting there and they're like,
oh, I know.
And it's like,
Can't
no,
stand that.
why would I?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, Jamie and I make a point, like we say hello to them, and if they don't respond at all, which has happened, or if they just don't try to make conversation, we won't buy from them.
Yeah.
So
and it's the same thing at art shows. Like, I love going to this. You know, if you aren't in the Midwest or the North, you only have a few months where you can go outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of our big art festivals are like within a 3-month period, and everybody goes berserk.
Makes sense.
There's like hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And I'll get so mad because it's like, dude, like, I would have spent money and bought your art, but you're standing there acting like it's so inconvenient for you to be here.
Yeah.
And you're miserable. You won't speak to anyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a big thing. Oh, keep hitting my mic. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
So the film festival is 3 days of independent horror film. Everything, there's only like 1 or 2 films that are over 30 minutes, but everything is 100% under 40 minutes. There's no features showing at this.
Yeah.
So you've got 3-minute films, 10-minute films, 30-minute films. Something that's really cool is Friday night, which is the opening night of the con and the film fest, 9 p.m. We're premiering a brand new horror film from local filmmakers from Refinery Films.
Nice.
Called Grinners. And it does feature Joe Bob Briggs.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know the female lead in that, Magdalena Conway. She and I have worked with filmmakers, and last year we finally got to make a film together. Nice. And so she's the female lead. Joe Bob Briggs is the male lead.
Yes.
It's very stylized. I did kind of get to watch it. Shh. It is very stylized, and it's got some really interesting characters, and the Lady Possum is kind of like their iconic character from the film.
Nice.
And they're already spinning that into other opportunities, and I think it's going to launch a whole little subset of like graphic novels, comics.
How fun.
So fun.
Yeah, it's really kind of, it reminded me a little bit of Creepshow and a little bit of like graphic novel imagery.
Okay.
Just because of the colors.
Yeah.
I like that.
And he wasn't afraid to lean, I mean, like, it was a definite theme. He wasn't afraid to lean into like the color scheme, and so that'll just be fun. And we'll do a little Q&A with them after to close out the night.
Nice.
Just because of time and some changes with staffing, we had hoped to maybe do a little more panels with actual filmmakers throughout the film fest. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to, but we're definitely going to do a Q&A with the cast and crew of Grinners after it premieres, and that would be Friday at 9 p.m.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And again, it's not a 2 or 3 hour movie, so it's 37 minutes. You get to have dinner and drinks and go to bed at a normal time.
Nobody does that at a horror con.
mean, like I remember a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure it was I think it was Days of the Dead. But I lose track sometimes of which one it is.
They blur.
When they premiered Terrifier 2 and they did the interactive screening.
Oh,
Yes, that was Days, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like supposed to start at 11 and it was like a 3-hour movie, and then they started, which not their fault. It got started late, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I was enjoying the movie so much, but I'm like, you look around the room and people are
Yes.
Yeah. Started at 7.
It's hard. You know, I get it. There's a lot of people, late night movies don't bother them.
Yeah.
I'm at that age and I'm in that health bracket where I gotta be in bed.
Yeah.
I tried to watch, I watched Phantom of the Opera the other night, and it's an old movie, so I knew it wouldn't be much over an hour, but still I was so tired, and I was like,
it's hard.
I'm sitting there like, okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So the film festival schedule has also now been posted on the website. It gets posted on social media, of course, but everything's kind of on the website.
Yeah.
So Friday, the film festival starts at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Saturday, it starts at 11 a.m. And then we have a Saturday night block. And then Sunday, it starts at noon. It's a very short day for the film festival on Sunday.
Sure.
Because we want to make sure we get those panels in there because they're happening in the same space. But what's great is everything's together in like the same main floor area. There's no third floor basement underneath the pool here. And
oh my God.
And I know those are necessities. Like I hope no one thinks I'm trying to bash anything. I'm really not. Those are necessities of that space. And as it grows, you have to start finding room for these things, right?
Yeah.
So what's really great about the 4-Point Sheridan Milwaukee Airport is that everything is there. So like all the rooms are in alignment. They're all together. You don't have to go far. So you can literally pop in and out of the film festival much easier. You can pop into a panel easier. It's all together.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Nice.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
A big part of a successful con is communication. So making sure that your staff is aware of any changes at the last second, knowing where things are, that's really important. So
it is.
Yeah. And speaking, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it cannot be emphasized enough, like for any con. Yeah,
totally.
No, one thing that my brain's a little special and it works a little differently than a lot of other people. But one thing that really annoys me, because I have this kind of built-in like efficiency and flow program in my brain. And so when I go to places, whether it's a museum, an airport, a convention, and there's no logistics, there's no direction, none of their maps make sense. Like that stuff drives me wild.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going a little crazy in the brain. It's not going to affect everybody that way. But so that's something that I really hope, you can't control everything, but that's something that's always on my mind. Are people going to be able to just know where they need to go quickly? Are they going to see a sign? Are they going to?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I hope that plays out the way I want it to. But
I think it will.
Yeah.
Totally.
We've got some great people setting up this con besides yourself. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to the future of this con because there definitely will be a lot of good things coming from Milwaukee now.
Yeah, and I really hope if people want this kind of thing there, please come out. Again, if we understand that people don't necessarily have big bucks, so some of the tickets are as cheap as $9 and $10 for one day.
Wow.
Like a Sunday is $9 or $10 depending on when you're buying it.
Yeah.
I think even the most expensive ticket is Saturday. Well, I mean, aside from a VIP pass.
Sure.
So Friday is $10, Saturday is $28, and Sunday is $9. Who's getting that in Chicago anywhere?
No one's getting that
anywhere.
Anywhere in the United States. I'll tell you that. No.
Super accessible. It lets everybody have a chance to go have fun.
Yeah. Buy merchandise. We have 70 vendors there with everything you can think of. Books and writers and movie makers and craftsmen, and everything again has to be related to horror.
Yeah.
So, buy some stuff you can't get anywhere else. Support a small business, support an independent film.
Absolutely.
And what we really do need, though, is we do need more volunteers to help with the event. So if you go to the website, there's a volunteer section, takes you to a little form to fill out. It'll tell you, what the conditions are and what we're looking for. And obviously it gets you a pass,
Yeah.
So you get to go to the event. And at the end of the event, there's a poster that most of the celebrity guests will sign when the event's finished for the volunteers. So, there are perks, of course, to doing it, and you get to network and see all these people and not have to pay to be there.
Yeah.
But we are looking for volunteers. The celebrity photo ops, the schedule is also posted on the website. Obviously, we'll try to keep posting it on social. Instagram, Facebook is where we are. What's really cool, though, is that this is the first time ever that Michael Hargrove will be in his Sherman Evans costume from Candyman.
Yay.
Wow.
That's so exciting.
He's going to be there, in that, wasn't it Sherpa, or it's like a
Yes.
Yeah, it was a Sherpa kind of coat.
Yeah.
Totally.
He'll be there with that, and I'm sure. I don't want to guarantee he'll have candy, but I think that would be really cool. Maybe I'll have to just make sure.
You just need to make sure there's candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
With all the other things I have to do.
Yes. Add that to the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Felissa Rose in costume, Dave Sheridan. And Dave Sheridan will be doing both Doofy and Ghostface.
Fun. Awesome.
Because, a spoiler alert, there is a Ghostface in the first Scary Movie.
What?
What? And it happens to be Doofy. Oh God, my favorite. Because Sherry, and I can't wait to talk to him about some of this, but one of my favorite moments in the first Scary Movie, and he's like, what does he go like? Does he say "smell this" or "smell my finger"? And he's like, "What is that?" Yes.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, but it's the best moment
so
ever.
Awesome,
I've told Dave this many times. Anytime I'm watching a Scream movie, just a regular Scream movie, I'm like, oh, it's Officer Doofy again.
I know.
Because he's just so incredible.
Yeah.
He just replaced that character in my brain. So
I know.
Yeah. Brett Wagner will be in the Leatherface costume, which I have such a cool picture. He gives it his all, man.
He does.
He loves being there. He loves the fans. Felissa Rose. I mean, you can't have anyone that's more of a real life cheerleader than Felissa Rose.
Oh my gosh.
She knows you by name.
Period.
Once she's met you, she
her
knows
energy
you.
doesn't end.
Yeah.
No, and it's genuine.
Yeah.
It's so genuine, and you won't see that from a lot of people.
No, and she wants to be there. She's always like, "Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's take a picture."
So sweet.
So Felissa, Dave, and Brett were the first on our radar.
Of course.
And it just was also a little convenient that, of course, they happen to be ones that we already knew.
Of course,
Not on the best friend level, but we had connections and we had talked and we knew each other.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that they came on board, and I mean that really helped us get the other people. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I'm really excited. I have never met Douglas Tate or Sean Roberts, but I have heard that they are really, really lovely human beings, which is what we want.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so cool to get another Jason picture. I can't wait.
Oh. Yeah. I have a soft spot for Jason for sure.
Me too.
Jason. Yeah, Jason doesn't know it, but we're shacking up in the Hamptons.
Just don't ask him to go swimming and he's down.
Right?
Yeah.
I've been the past couple of conventions. I'm like, I think something might be wrong with me because I'm really into all these Jasons.
I get it.
Totally get it. Well, Ash, it's been a pleasure speaking with you about horror. Anytime, I just love fangirling about it.
Yeah.
And I cannot express how excited we all are for Milwaukee Horror Con. And we're just looking forward to hanging out with some friends, making some new friends.
Yeah.
And doing a little networking ourselves. But overall, just horror cons are definitely the place to hang out with your friends and just have a great time.
And please, everybody come out. This is a great way to, if you've never been to one, this is a great introduction to one. It's not so overwhelming. It's not huge.
Yeah.
But everyone, in our eyes, wants to be there and they want to
Yeah.
see you. So
Yeah.
come on out. Volunteer, buy
Definitely.
a ticket, but come support it and show Wisconsin you want this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
help us allow it to continue in the future.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Horror creators, I've always said this, and Jamie and Ethan have said it as well. Like, you guys are the lifeblood of the community, and we couldn't do any of this without all of your hard work and dedication. So, you guys do this for the fans because you are fans.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And come,
Yeah.
and then if you don't give a toot about celebrities, come support independent horror movies. Come watch the
Yes.
films.
Absolutely.
The film festival's included with there's no separate admission or anything. It's completely included.
It's
So
awesome.
come out and watch movies if you don't want to do anything
Yeah.
else.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper
It's
than a
a
movie
great time.
theater.
Exactly.
$10
Totally.
ticket? Come
It's a
on.
steal.
Can't beat that nowadays.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Thank you so much for asking for me to come on, and
Of course.
I'm really trying to get more into podcasts and listening to more, and I've been listening to yours.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have. The Scream one was the first one I listened to, of course.
Of course. You were supposed to be on.
I know.
No.
That was supposed to be my first, and you guys don't know how hard it was for me
Oh, I know.
to
course.
give that one up, to talk about Scream.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was the show I was in.
Yeah.
Oh no,
There was something going on.
There-
it was
Yeah.
either a film or a show. Now I don't remember anymore.
I think it was a show. I think it was a stage play.
Yeah.
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 It had to be done, and
Sure.
sometimes,
That happens.
man, it hurt. It hurt
Oh,
because it was
I know.
Scream.
And you're like, I want to talk Scream. I want that one.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll definitely set some movies aside for you. You just got to let us know, and we'll set them aside
Yeah.
for you. And we're
Woo.
like, don't touch. This is ashes.
All right. Well, we'll
Yeah.
start talking at Milwaukee.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
All right. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see everybody at Milwaukee. Come out and say hi. I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, this is the last thing I'll say. Wait until you see this special little outfit I'm going to wear for Felissa.
Oh, I think I
Ooh.
know.
I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I'm
Ooh.
gonna give everybody in Milwaukee a show.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh
you
my.
gotta. There you go, guys. You gotta go.
I'm
telling
going.
you.
Yeah. If I wasn't going already, I'd be like, I'm just going just for that. Awesome. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ash, again
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
on. You're a treasure. We appreciate you
Yes.
and all you do for us and the horror community.
Yeah.
And guys, just remember, if you ever find yourself in a horror movie, don't have sex.
Don't do drugs.
And certainly don't die. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.